What is up, guys? This is Tristan Kalina, and we are going over the do's and don'ts of the pressure washing business. This business has completely changed my life in totality. If you want to make money, definitely stay towards the end of this video. Let's rock and roll. Let's get it. So my first don't of the pressure washing business is that you cannot charge cheaply. You cannot underbid people, because what happens is a few things. A, you attract the wrong clients, because clients who go with the cheaper bid are traditionally the worst types of clients. You want to go after the luxurious. That is your target audience. You're going to be killing your profit margins. Name of the game of business is to make more money than your 9 to 5. That's why we all go into business, correct? So you cannot be charging cheaply. But look, when you charge cheaply and say you get a lot of jobs, burnout's going to start to creep in. Then you're underbidding. You're forcing to take on more volume than you actually can to just stay afloat. But you're working longer hours for less rewards with less profitability. It does not make sense. It's not sustainable, and you'll resent the business over a long time, and that's why people get out of the fucking business. It cheapens your brand because, quite frankly, guys, look, price signals value, and when you charge less, people assume that your work is going to be lower quality. But even if you deliver the amazing results, being the cheap guy, quote unquote, the cheap guy, it undermines your professionalism, and then it also definitely devalues the entire brand that you're trying to develop. But lastly, what this does is that it just hurts the industry in totality, because I guarantee you, when you start to establish relationships in this business with other washers or with other connections, and you're charging cheaply, it puts them into a bad rap because it's hurting the industry in totality. So I guarantee you, you should be fucking pissed off, because there are young guys that make a living off of this stuff, that have rental properties, that have these things, but you want to charge cheap because you want to get a job. My first do of the business is that you have to go off of reoccurring work. And what I mean by this, every month, every quarter, every biannual, every year, because when you have reoccurring subscription work, it estimates the actual revenue that you have for the business. And then it also allows you to put systems into easier places, because when you are on the hunt, kill model, that means it's going to be hyper stressful. You don't have estimated revenue, and you don't have an actual business valuation, because quite frankly, when you are trying to sell the business, you want contracts. So going off of reoccurring work is substantially more beneficial for your business. And then also it is just an ease at mind whenever you can have estimated revenue coming in each and every single month. So do that. My second don't is do not buy equipment before you get the jobs. The very worst case scenario is that you get the job, get the deposit, and then go rent out a machine, use the profit to be able to invest into other equipment. But I'll give you a story real quick. I had a buddy that invested $45,000 into a trailer, did not get the jobs that he expected to get, and then now he is in $40,000 of debt. You don't want that to happen. Do not buy the big trailer if you don't have jobs lined up. It is okay to look a little bit ratchet or look a little bit unprofessional initially. I know that a lot of people might disagree upon that, but I started off with a freaking Home Depot pressure washer, Ryobi, 2.1 gallon per minute. Here's a video of it, but that got jobs done. That was able to build a ton of capital initially so that I could invest into actual commercial graded equipment. But do that route, look a little bit minimalist before you actually get the big freaking things. I can promise you wholeheartedly, this is a huge problem that I see, and it runs people to the dirt. It runs people to the dirt because interest starts to compile, and now you are in a freaking hole. Just trust me on this. Don't do that. My second do, absolutely do this, is test your market. Each market is going to be vastly different for marketing, but you need to test trial by trial and error. What I mean by this, and I'll go over my best marketing tips at the end of the video on actually how I achieve jobs, but in your market, specifically when you are starting off, ask your friends, ask your family, ask colleagues, talk to people around. Literally try different things, whether that's a Facebook ad, Google ad, or a yard sign, or a door hanger, whatever it is. Try to figure out what actually works. And then when you figure out that one thing that actually works, you need to hammer down on the nail and do that 100x. I can guarantee you that you can kill other people by just strictly volume, but you have to figure out what actually gets you jobs. Write down every single job, how you got them. When you know how you got them, and you can track by knowing the majority of the outcomes of where your leads come through, then you can just visually see, I need to hammer down on this. That means I can 100x this via the volume and neglect everything else. That is how you do it. Guys, let's keep on rolling. My third don't, and I think this is a little bit controversial according to a lot of other people, but I would argue that this has been hyper effective for at least me, is that you do not want to neglect your competitors or envision them even as competitors. You want to envision them as partners, because quite frankly, they'll get busy and they have nowhere to go with this work. They could feed it to you and vice versa, especially as you start to scale. You want to develop healthy relationships with other people in the same niche, in the same industry as you, whether that's washing or whatever it could be, but you want to make sure that you are partners or have a healthy gathering relationship with it. And then also this helps with the pricing amongst the area, because if you could collaborate and be extremely transparent and communicative within each and every single competitor, and you know what they charge, etc., this only helps out the industry or the local niche in totality. So I would argue, do not neglect the competitors, but become partners and become actual best freaking friends with them, and I guarantee you that you will freaking win. My third do is that you want to under promise and over deliver. And so what I mean by this is when you are setting expectations and you're on a quote or you're on an estimate with somebody, you might not understand if that comes out. Then don't tell them that it will come out in totality, because when they think that it's coming out in totality and it actually doesn't, they're going to be pissed. You build terrible rapport for yourself. You might get a bad review, and then also it is just not a good look on for your rapport. So I would argue you have to underpromise, over-deliver with the absolute best possible service, and then you will actually win. My last don't is don't put a bad taste in their mouth. And what I mean by this is that you want to develop an amazing experience with the customer, because if you are not developing an amazing experience from the top and the bottom, and it's about how you do it, not what you do. And what I mean by this is that you can absolutely get excited about how you actually do things. And so I'll give you an example right here, is if they fill out a form, and you can get better by doing this, is that if they fill out a form and you send them on a Google Sheet, how can I get better by that? You can now send them a PDF, get a CRM. Now you can actually put a video estimate out there, and now you can put background music, and now you can put visuals onto it. So ask yourself, how can I actually make the experience better for the totality of the customer, rather than absolutely not doing it at all? You have to make sure that they feel absolutely welcomed, and then also you want to make sure that they are blown away by extreme value. If you want to not succeed in this business, then don't give them value and sell off of price, because I guarantee you will lose. And my last do is that it comes down to the follow-up sequence. So what I mean by this is that it's normally never the first bid or the first follow-up that actually gets the approval, but it's the second, it's the third, it's the fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th. Don't be afraid to actually bombard them, but follow up with them relentlessly until you get a no. I can guarantee you that if you could just follow up with your leads, if you have a system accordingly to actually follow up with them, then you will freaking win. But quite frankly, people need to be reminded more than they need to be taught. So if they might just get that lost in the inbox, they might get lost in the text thread. So make sure that you're following up, staying present in the front of their mind. Then I guarantee you that the likelihood of that actually being approved for a big job goes up hyperbolically. I did tell you that I would give you my top lead sources for what absolutely has been working with me, and for if I transcribe my entire pressure washing journey. So I'll give you my top 5. So it's been A, word of mouth as of recent, because I've been in the business for a little bit. 2 is networking with actual individuals. I think that with AI and with everything along these lines, that humanizing the actual situation puts you in a complete advantage. 3 is print marketing with door hangers, yard signs. 4 is being able to leverage organic socials like your LinkedIn, with your Facebook, with your Google. Those things actually matter. And the 5th thing is by getting a ton of reviews. So look, I think that being able to do those things is great, but you also have to do the things that I had told you and not do the things that I told you as well. So either way, let's keep on crushing. But guys, this is the end of the video. I hope you guys like this or got some sort of value so that you guys can make as much money as possible. If you want to, definitely subscribe, as I want to post and consistently keep giving you guys value. I'm posting day in the lives. I'm posting value ads so that you guys can grow in totality. So I'd love to get a digital cigar or a digital hamburger with you through the screen. Either way, I'm posted Tuesday and Friday at 5:15 Central Standard Time. You guys definitely take a look at the next video, and I will see you on the flip side. Let's get it.